15 years ago, Mira Blackwood could break any code. Now she carried 4 bags down hospital corridors. Or so it seemed. Because inside that saline bottle was the world's most advanced mobile decryption device. And today, she would need to use it. From which city in the world are you watching this video today? If this story resonates with you, consider subscribing for more untold stories of heroes who operate in the shadows. The third floor of CFB Edmonton Military Hospital woke to the same routine every morning. Despite Alberta's cold morning air, life inside was warm. Shift changes, patient rounds, medication distribution. Nurse Mira Blackwood was an invisible part of this routine. Her white coat spotless, dark brown hair in a tight bun, her face carrying a gentle but distant expression. As she walked down the corridor, no one looked at her twice. That was exactly what she wanted. Mira's medical bag was filled with standard equipment as always: sterile needles, saline bottles, blood pressure monitor, glove boxes. But in the bag's hidden compartment was something that shouldn't be there according to military protocols: a modified digital decryption device. It looked like an ordinary injection needle, but the microchip at its tip activated when it touched any electronic system. "Good morning, Nurse Blackwood," said a young soldier, emerging from his room. He had been wounded in the leg, but recovery was progressing quickly. "Good morning, Lieutenant Harper. Time for your dressing change," Mira replied, with a gentle smile, and entered the room. During routine checks, Mira's eyes were constantly moving. The position of the security camera in the room, the guard rotation pattern outside the window, the tone of 2 senior officers talking in the corridor. Everyone thought this was the professional attention of an experienced nurse. In reality, Mira was recording every detail in her memory. Because this hospital wasn't just a medical facility. In the basement was the Canadian Department of Defence's most sensitive server room. And there was only one reason Mira had been assigned here. There was an increasing system breach in that server room. And no one knew the breach was coming from inside. 15 years ago, Mira Blackwood was the youngest cybersecurity expert at the Canadian Security Intelligence Service. At the Ottawa headquarters, at age 23, she could work with 10 different computer screens in one room, code for 48 hours without sleep. She was known by the codename Phantom Key because there was no system she couldn't unlock. But then, something went wrong. Operation Northern Shadow. Mira's team had been tasked with infiltrating an enemy intelligence network. Mira had broken the system, obtained the data. But someone on the team, had betrayed her. A fake report was prepared. Mira was accused of leaking false information. There was no trial, just a quiet meeting, documents to be signed, and a choice. Either disappear completely or be erased from official records and live with a different identity. Mira Blackwood died, erased from records, removed from memories. And 6 months later, a woman named Mira Thornton enrolled in nursing school in Toronto. During lunch break, Mira sat quietly in the hospital cafeteria, eating her salad while listening to her small earpiece. Apparently listening to music. In reality, she was monitoring audio recordings from the server room in the basement. A week ago, the hospital's security chief, Colonel Graham Ashford, had approached Mira. Though it appeared to be a normal patient checkup appointment, Ashford had left her an encrypted message. "Is Phantom Key still alive?" Mira's heart had stopped in that moment. Very few people knew that code name, and all of them were either dead or gone. But Ashford was different. He was the man who had protected Mira 15 years ago, the only honest person in the Northern Shadow operation. And now he was asking for her help. Because the system breach at CFB Edmonton wasn't just information theft. Someone was altering patient medical records at the hospital. Wrong medication doses, wrong blood types, wrong treatment protocols. No one had died yet, but it was a matter of time. And worst of all, the breach was coming from inside, from someone with security clearances, someone with legal system access. Mira finished her routine medication distribution round and entered the empty room at the end of the third floor. This was officially closed for renovation, but it was Mira's real meeting point. Colonel Ashford was waiting inside. "Did you gain system access?" he asked directly. Mira nodded. "3 days ago, but I can't find the traces. Whoever's doing it is very good. Professional level." Ashford frowned. "As good as you?" Mira hesitated. "Maybe as good as the old me." Ashford pulled a small USB from his pocket. "We did a security scan in the server room this morning. Didn't find a physical device. But we found this." He handed the USB to Mira. "A backdoor code. Grants external system access." And the code signature seemed familiar. Mira examined the USB. When she scanned the screen, her face went pale. "This is my coding style," she whispered. "But I didn't write this code." Ashford looked at her seriously. "Then who did?" Mira's mind was racing. 15 years ago, there was only one person on her team who could code in the same style as her. Her mentor, the head of the cyber unit, Commander Liam Callahan. But Callahan had moved to Vancouver 10 years ago and retired. Or so they said. During the night shift, the hospital grew quiet. While Edmonton's bleak winter night stretched like a dark blanket outside the windows, corridors were lit with dim lighting. Only emergency teams and security guards were moving about. Mira checked the special needle in her bag. It looked like a normal injection needle, but the microchip at its tip could read the signals of any electronic device it touched. And more importantly, it could infiltrate systems without leaving digital traces. The plan was simple but risky. Go down to the server room in the basement, find the real source of the back door, and discover whether Callahan was still active. Mira walked down the corridor in her nurse uniform. Security cameras recognized her and didn't sound an alarm. She walked toward the stairs, her heartbeat accelerating with each step. When she descended to the basement, 2 security guards were on duty. "Ma'am, this is a restricted area," one said politely. Mira showed the file in her hand. "Orders from Colonel Ashford. The air conditioning system in the server room needs to be checked. Medical records are at risk." The guard looked at the file, then requested confirmation over his radio. A few seconds later, he opened the door. "You have 10 minutes inside." When Mira entered, the room was filled with massive server racks. LEDs blinked on and off. Fans produced a low hum. Despite Alberta's cold air, the temperature here was tropical. She took out the needle and touched it to the connection port of the nearest server rack. The microchip activated instantly. The screen on Mira's small bracelet began showing data flow. Code lines flowed rapidly, and then she found it. A hidden file directory, embedded so it wouldn't appear in any security scan. When she opened the file, a video recording appeared. On the screen appeared the face of Liam Callahan. His hair had grayed, deep lines had formed on his face. He had recorded from somewhere on the Vancouver coast. "Mira," the video said, "if you're watching this, you're still the same Phantom Key. Congratulations." Mira's hand trembled. 15 years ago I protected you," Callahan continued. "But now, I need to make a deal with you. This hospital system breach is mine. But the reason isn't what you think." The video switched to another screen. A list, names, dates, operation codes. "This list contains records of everyone who betrayed you in the Northern Shadow operation," Callahan said. "And now they're all at this hospital. For treatment, for meetings, or to hide. I'm just marking them. But the neutralization, that's up to you." The video ended. Mira was frozen. Here was the truth. Callahan was seeking revenge, and he wanted to use Mira as his instrument. When Mira exited the server room, Colonel Ashford was waiting for her. "Callahan, right?" he asked. Mira nodded. "But not just him. He's trying to trap me." Ashford looked at her with a serious expression. "What will you do?" Mira took a deep breath. "I'll remove the back door from the system. But first, we need to learn who Callahan's targets are." For 2 hours, Mira and Ashford examined the hospital records, and 3 names stood out. One was a retired general, Brigadier Owen Mackenzie. Another was an intelligence analyst, Charlotte Devereaux. The third was an Ottawa-connected civilian consultant, Philip Rousseau. All had served in the Northern Shadow operation, and all had played a role in Mira's betrayal. "Can we arrest them?" Mira asked. Ashford shook his head. "No evidence. Records from 15 years ago have been erased." "Then what do we do?" Ashford looked at her silently. "What do you want to do, Mira?" Mira looked out of the window. Edmonton's nightlights illuminated the city. She could reclaim the identity she had once lost. But at what cost? "I want justice," she finally said. "But not Callahan's way. The right way." At the morning meeting, senior officers had gathered in the conference room. Brigadier Mackenzie, Analyst Devereaux, and Consultant Rousseau. The meeting was about cybersecurity protocols. Ironically, digital tablets sat in front of each of them. Mira entered in her nurse uniform. She carried a coffee tray. "Excuse me, your coffees," she said politely. Mackenzie frowned. "We didn't order coffee." "From Colonel Ashford," Mira replied calmly. "He said it would be a long meeting." Mackenzie shrugged and took the coffee. The others did the same.